Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the law of attraction, manifesting success stories show comes in. If you are ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to this interview. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and I am back with Mia for her 10th interview. Welcome, Mia.
Wow, 10 already. That's amazing.
Right?
Really cool. Yeah.
It is cool.
Yeah.
It's getting like I always knew this would be so much fun, and the further I get down the road and get to see you guys like 10, 12, it's so cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's such a neat thing you realize how far you've come when you see other people that are in various stages of the program and you go, oh, that was me when I first started, Manifest 10K.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. What's the give us one example of how you've grown.
Ooh,
or how far you've come.
let me pick one. I think the biggest thing is not telling old stories in any sort of way. And I was on the call yesterday, and Jane really, she oftentimes her discussions with you really bring things together for me. And it was, why don't you just talk about the good stuff? Don't say blah blah blah, this was so great, but XYZ. Just say blah, 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 good stuff. And don't worry about XYZ. I mean, even in the present moment, you don't have to tell the bad story,
Right.
You don't, or the down part of the story, or what didn't go right, what went right. I went off after the call and I made a list of all the things that went right in my life that somehow had a twist that weren't so great, but
Yes.
You look at that list and you just go, yeah, life's been great. Really great.
That is awesome. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but it was fairly early on. It was one of the exercises about one of your bigger money mistakes that you've made. And I got a little inheritance from one of my grandmothers when I was very young, like maybe 9 or 10. And I had always wanted to have this little sailboat. And I went out and I bought the sailboat. And I didn't know anything about it, and it got stolen and la, 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 la. And so I had all of this weird stuff over the bad part of the story. And now I can remember it, and I got a sailboat, I got my sailboat,
Yes.
And it's so much better, and it's just so great. It's really, really, really awesome. And I just wrote like this whole list, like 3 pages in my journal of everything that was great, but it had a little but or a little except or a little, but you leave out that part, and it's great.
Yes.
And it's just very uplifting, and it makes you see how much is going right.
Yes.
Which is good.
Oh, it is so good. And I love that I love so much about this because I love stories, and I love the power they have, right? Like making that list and leaving all, like, your life is like so amazing. I don't even know what's on the list, but I can feel the energy that exercise would have.
Oh yeah. I mean, just all the good stuff, and I've always had this sort of feeling like that, but to have it be so crystallized and clear in my mind has been great. Cause I'm in consulting, and there comes a time you're working close with clients, and maybe you even work with them for 10 years. And there comes a time when it's time for a change, and you part. It's so much easier to part on good terms, even if things are going a little south. And I always say to myself, nobody can take away those 10 years that were awesome.
Yeah.
I had a relationship where I was married to somebody, and I was in that relationship for almost 20 years, married for 10. And I tell people all the time, nobody can take away those first years, and it was a long time, that were just awesome. I mean, they were great. Can't take that away. And that's the part of me that's always had that. I don't need to have the but part, but to see it to really feel it and have it be physical and crystallized, it makes everything good. It's not just a story here and a story there that you can say, hey, nobody can take away the good part. Nobody can take it away.
Nobody.
It's mine.
It is. Yeah. And you don't need to like smear it with the other part.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Like it does,
Yeah.
it can just stand on its own.
Yep. It can really do that, so it just makes everything more clear,
Mm-hmm.
very clear.
Oh,
So
that's amazing. I love that. And I love that you've been in the Enchanted Circle for almost 2 years, maybe 2 years.
it's
Yeah.
very close. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you're even, because this is what I loved about that call too is like it was an up level. I could tell for a lot of people, like, oh, like every once in a while they'll be like, oh, I'm still telling the stories like that. Like I thought I had done it because I don't say like I found money, but I'm still doing it in like, oh, I got what I wanted, but right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, exactly. Exactly. It was, I don't know. I don't think Jane realizes sometimes how clear, because she kind of can feel so bad about, being, oh, am I wrong or whatever. But, you just look at the comments, people are making comments and saying stuff. It's like, Jane, it's like at least once a month, I'm going to myself, Jane, that was so perfect. Thank you for bringing that up. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just so great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know I provide that for some people other
Mm-hmm.
times too, when I have an issue that, you're just bonking your head against the wall going like, I don't get this. What's going wrong?
Right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't even know what your question is, or like
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you don't even realize you're bonking your head. You've just become sort of like, you just notice, like, or you stop noticing that it's there until someone else asks the question and you're like, oh, like,
I know. Wow.
oh, 2 months. Okay. But now I got the answer that I didn't even know I needed to ask the question about.
No, yeah, that is so true. Yeah, I wasn't even aware that I needed to ask a question about that. I can't tell you how many times that has happened. It's just amazing.
That is amazing. I didn't do this because we got right into such awesome stuff, but what else is awesome right now?
The weather is great. It's springtime out here in California, and we're having afternoon rain showers, heavy, but then the sun comes out. Everything's blooming. The vistas are beautiful with clouds and sunsets and sunrises, and it's just it's really gorgeous, gorgeous time.
That is awesome. I love it. What are you excited about right now? It's an interesting time. Oh, just so everybody knows, this is March 24th, 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's all about the coronavirus right now, and it's interesting. I know you put a post out that was really useful, saying that the energy that you're bringing to this whole situation will get magnified as we move through it, and that's a really good thing. And I know a lot of people have very good intentions, because many people have more time on their hands because they can't go to work, et cetera, et cetera, and people want to uplift,
Mm-hmm.
and it is about energy. It is about using a time wisely, and that doesn't mean being active in any way necessarily. It could be just finding the energy, finding the pulse that's right. I think so many times people get stuck in activity. Got to
Mm-hmm.
be active. And at a time like this, when you can't be active, wow, it's different for a lot of people. But I enjoy it. Myself, it hasn't changed my life a lot, because I work not a kind of 9 to 5 job. I do consulting winemaking. So I just finished a bottling a couple weeks ago. I don't have to do anything again until I have another racking coming up later in summertime. And so that's great. The wine can sit. I feel blessed that I got the wine in the bottle before all this stay in place came in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm used to spending a lot of time at home, and I'm used to spending a lot of time with my partner, and I'm used to taking the dogs for a walk and exercising and working on myself and working in the garden. And for a lot of people, that's a new challenge, because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people just go off to work and they come back at night, and
Yeah.
it's a quite different situation. But it's a really, really beneficial time. Uh, Stressful as well, but beneficial.
Absolutely. Yeah. To find that space in not having to be active all the time. And I love how you said it, because it's so true. Like you don't have to do any, like what you could do is rest, like, or there's all these options that don't have to be stay busy, like go, okay, this is when I'm going to write my novel, or it could just be like, no, this is when I'm just going to relax and breathe for a little bit. It's almost as if the wine and the grapes were just lining up for you, like get the bottles done, and then the next batch just needs to sit.
Yeah, it's kind of that way. The energy you bring to it is kind of what you get back. It gets reflected back. It looks right in a mirror. And if I've seen it time again, if you're, calm, cool, and collected, everything's going to turn out okay. That's the way it turns out. If you're like pressing and then I got to do it and I'm nervous and let's get this done and what are we going to do? That's the energy you get back for sure. So,
Yeah.
and you see it because where I make the wine, it's a kind of community wine place, and so
Yeah.
there's 36 winemakers making
Wow.
various wines there, and you see all different kinds of people in the way that they react, and it's like, wow, you're making this a lot harder than it needs to be, a lot harder than it needs to be. But yeah.
That is so interesting. And I'm like, the energetic LOA coach in me wants to be like, okay, well, which bottles should I drink? Which bottles have that calm energy?
Yeah. No, exactly.
Right?
That is very true. The energy of everybody that's involved, it all comes downhill to the final product, from the owner and everybody working in the vineyard, and winemaker, production people, all of that stuff, the people that are making your barrels for you. You want to work with really, really good people. Is very important to the wine. Very important. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I've never thought about it until this moment, but it makes so much sense, because all of that, like the overall company's energy is going into your wine.
Yeah, because it's alive. I mean, it's basically, it's a living product pretty much that's out there. So it really reflects everything that's come beforehand.
That's awesome. What else? That was such a good discussion about the stories. What else has changed in the 2 years that you've been here?
Let's see. Let me contemplate that one. I think it's not it comes back to the activity, not being afraid, or not feeling like I need to do something unless I have the intention of doing it. Unless the intention for doing it is there and clear, I see over and over again how things can get muddled in it. So we talked about winemaking, but it's true. It's true with everything, and I get evidence for that back all the time. I even, to bring up exercise, I get it. I've gotten myself into a routine where I don't get injured like I used to, because I always thought, well, I got to do something a little more. I got to do something a little this, got to do something a little that. And now it's just this cool flow of stuff. And everything that I look at comes back to me that way. I read things like, hey, the best way to know if you're running too much is check out if you really want to go for a run. I mean, ask your gut, do I feel like going for a run today? And if you don't, you're probably either training a little too much, or, and it's very, very true. It's super true. And I run around in these little Warachi sandals, and everybody in the neighborhood knows me. Awesome. It's like, oh, there she is, running. I can't believe you're running those things, And, but I tell people, if your form is great, this is the closest I can get to barefoot. And I get feedback, complete, total feedback from that because I'm so close to the ground, and I don't have crazy shoes or anything like that. It's really gives me very, very good feedback. But it's funny to be that woman that runs around in her sandals.
I love it. I like to do everything in my sandals. So you just opened up like a whole other world and gave evidence that it's the best way to do it.
It is, and I just I check the temperature, the outside temperature in the morning. If it's 40 degrees or above, I can go for a run first thing and not have numb feet coming home. If it's 38, that's no good. So that's me. I'm in sandals all day. If it starts at 40 or better, I'm in sandals all day, unless I have to go to the winery or walk through the vineyard, something like that. But otherwise, no shoes for me.
That is awesome.
But I see people all around me, especially, with going back to the exercise thing, especially as you get a little older and you're, out of your 40s into your 50s and even older. And people exercise themselves to these places where they have to get surgeries. And, it's like something needs to change. It's a sign. Something needs to change. You either need to get some help with some physical therapy or something's wrong, or you need to find a new activity or not do so much of it. That's the other thing. But so that having an intention and feeling like you don't have to do something unless you have a clear intention is very important, especially as I've gotten into trading a little bit more. I'm reading a book on psychology of trading right now. And it's very interesting. A lot of things do line up. But, when you feel like you have to trade, either because you're going to miss something, you feel like you're going to miss out. That's not the right reason. That's not the right psychological capital to bring to the whole situation. It would be better just to sit by your side. I haven't traded since the first week in January. Why? Well, it hasn't felt right. And my kind of trading doesn't work at, with a VIX of 60. It doesn't. And with, 100-point moves in a day, it doesn't work that way. It's a different thing. So more and more I feel comfortable with not doing that. And when I know when I've gotten myself in trouble, I feel like I'm going to miss something, or I have to make X amount of dollars in X amount of weeks. Oh man, you can't do that. You cannot do that. But when you trust that intention, you really feel it, it doesn't mean the trade goes right, but it means that you're there to trade again tomorrow rather than wipe your account out,
Right.
So that's the most important thing. So
I love that, because my next question is going to be, how's the financial wizard going through this time in this moment?
Really, really good. So, among all of our accounts, we probably have, I have somewhere between about, probably about 7 to 9% that's in stocks or bonds right now. And then the rest is in cash. And it
Awesome.
just feels so good. We got out in plenty of time. And so the rest is just sitting there, and we're waiting for the time to get back in to do just long-term investing, and then also options trade. So it feels really good. We have, that's the other part about, people that aren't able to work that need to work. And it's a great lesson for me as a financial wizard. You're going to have your trading capital, which you can, have in long-term, short-term stuff and whatever. But then you need to have your storehouse that is going to let you get through for whatever period of time you feel like you need, whatever. That could be 3 months, that could be 6 months, that could be 18 months. For me as a consultant, my jobs aren't completely secure. Times are tough. They're going to get tough for wineries out here, so it's not secure. But I'm not worried because I've got a storehouse. So yeah, financial wizard is doing awesome. I have a friend who has a nonprofit and she's getting divorced from her husband, and they had a farm together where they rescue farm animals, and so
Ah,
there's a lot of money, and they've got a few acres, and they've got llamas and horses and ponies and sheep, but it takes a lot to run it.
mm-hmm.
And there was a big account that they had that just got switched over to her, and she said, "Would you look at these, Mia, and tell me what you think?" And so we did, and I went through the whole thing, and it was, man, it's amazing. If you're not watching, if you've got a money manager and you're not watching what they're doing, it's just like, I looked at it and I went, oh my God. I mean, not everything, but
Right.
it was like 4 or 5 things, that were just like, what the hell were they thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is it. This was $1 million+ account. Now it's not $1 million+ account.
Right.
So, yeah, but that definitely feels like one of the areas where I feel really good about, and I've been feeling better and better about. But it's not like I can't stop building on it, and it's like a never-ending thing of learning and processing and.
Well, I love that you're paused because that feels good. You're not trading, you're not doing that, and you're also still learning, right? And I think a lot of people get confused. Like they think that you have to be doing to do it, but being out and intentional, like you've talked about this whole interview, which is awesome, and still learning is always possible. Like you don't have to be in it. You have to be doing it to be growing it.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I spend an hour every weekday, just kind of checking out where the markets are, seeing where they finish up, looking at my favorite analysts that I follow, seeing what they're saying about what's going on with oil or this or that or everything. So you can doesn't mean I have to trade. That whole fear of missing out is not the right not the right attitude. When it's right. When it's right. When you're in touch with your intentions, your true intentions.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. Is that hour fun? Like, do you?
Oh no, yeah, it's fun.
Like
I
you
love
it, right? Yeah,
I love it. No, I have
that's what I want to hear.
I have my favorite analysts, and I just type their thing into, to have it come up. And if they've done a report that day, I read it, and I go through, the daily reports. Basically, I'm with Merrill Lynch, Bank of America.
Mm-hmm.
They've got great research, and I just go through kind of the same reports about every day, and every now and then there's another one that I'll look at. But I love that. I love it.
Yes. And I suspected that was the answer. And I want people to hear that, right? Because that is such a different, you can't just, I'm going to trust my gut, but then force yourself to do all these things don't feel good, right? Like you have to, you have to find the reports that feel good. You have to find the rhythm. I'm guessing your sort of financial hour looks different than any other trader that you know, right? Because you have your things, you have your reasons. They feel good to you. They're in alignment.
Right. Exactly. Alignment's another good way of putting it. It's definitely that. Yeah.
I love that. And have you, I don't know if you can explain this or not, but is there a way that and this is going to be different for everybody. I just want to hear yours, when you'll know, I'm going to go do some trades. Like, does it feel like a little whisper? Does it just feel like, let me check it out? What does your nudge or your whisper feel like? Or is it different all the time?
Oh, it is. It's different all the time. So it's a little bit rules based on technical stuff that's going on in the market. Definitely a little rules based, but it's also it's that pulse of what I can see and feel going on in the market, because basically what you're doing. So this book that I'm reading right now, it's all about feelings and emotional context, as well as physical feelings, getting your own, getting in tune with your own, but then realizing that who you're working with out there is all out there. So the more you've got your pulse on the market and you're in touch with yourself, you have your intention, and you feel like you're getting a good read for everybody else that you're trading with out there, that's your time. That's your time. When you don't feel that connection to yourself and to the market, it's not a good time. Just robotically to go through or look at numbers and have your technical stuff get in place. But if I didn't get a good night's sleep, or I had a fight with my partner or whatever, that's going to affect me. It's going to affect me. And if something's going on that's affecting a lot of other traders out there, those are the things that you've got to be a little bit in tune with. Doesn't mean everything goes right, but it means, again, you get to play again another day, not wipe your trading account out. That's the key.
I love that you're making that, because that is just so juicy if people can hear that. It's not about, I'm just going to use the word winning every time. It's about staying in the game, right? Like, and doing all of this and being in the energy so that you're always in the game and checking in and playing so that you can keep playing, right? And obviously grow in that. But I love this because it's not so often people, I think, when it comes to money or so, they think, oh, if I messed that up, I'm done, or they go all in too much because, they're probably not in touch with their feelings, but that they look at that as like, oh, I failed, but that's not what it's these other things and going for the long haul that matter. I don't know if that's making sense.
No, it is going for the long haul. And it's just like, it kind of brings it right back to where we started. You have to focus on the good stuff, not in a Pollyanna way, but hey, what went right? What's going right? And there are a lot of things going right. There's a lot of things going right in the market right now, but I don't feel like I need to put my own self in there. And when stuff goes wrong, the big thing is just not to blow it all up.
Right.
Either emotionally or capital wise. Because if you really make a big whoops, it's hard to recover from that. And I can remember my mentors in winemaking. It's like you make a little mistake, something happens, 5 gallons of wine spills or something like that. And I can remember my first mentors telling me, we just want to avoid the really big mistakes. That's what we want to do. We want to learn from all our little mistakes as good as we can and avoid the really, really, really big ones, because you can't reverse the big ones. It's pretty tough. I mean, you can, but yeah.
Yeah. And I love it. And being in tune, making sure you have that base. And that really goes to which I think is an act of self-love, making sure you're always taken care of, right? You have the base, you can take care of yourself, and then you can grow and play. But you have to have that cushion, that setup and that's being real. I think you might be able to explain this in a different way than I can. It's not about attracting what you don't want. It's just being okay if something happens, which is way more attractive to growing money and business than oh my gosh, I only have a week left.
Yeah. I think, to me, the market's the economy. I mean, it's a microcosm of the macrocosm. When you make wine, you're at Mother Nature's in charge, man. I can sit here and say what kind of weather I'd rather have than what's going on right now. And as a Californian, we always complain about the weather. It doesn't matter how good it is, but the truth of the matter is the weather is the weather, and that's going to determine the kind of vintage that I have. So I need to be in tune with that. And I need to respond to that. And I can be mad when it's not the weather I want or not whatever, but I still need to respond to it. And take advantage of the good things that come along too. So it's a real alignment, being in tune with what's going on and knowing. The other best lesson I got was, and it's a real true lesson. Ask yourself what the wine wants, and sometimes it doesn't want anything. Nothing. It wants nothing. So there's that activity thing again. Got to be doing something. What could we be doing to the wine right now? It doesn't want a darn thing. Nothing.
Yeah.
So you ask yourself, and sometimes, it needs to be racked, and sometimes, it's time for blending. Yeah, I'm seeing this blend come together now, but other times not.
That's
and
awesome.
Especially when you're a young winemaker, you want to do stuff. You want to show off all the stuff that you know. Hey, let's do this. No.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. This has been so good learning about wine. Like, I love that we can weave LOA, wine, and money and running all together into one interview.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. Any final thoughts or things you want to say to wrap up today?
Just everybody stay healthy. We're gonna get through this. Probably by the time this comes through, we'll all be out on the other side. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it will be awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This has been so much fun and so helpful, I know, to those listening. So thank you so much.
Always a blast, Cassie. Always a blast.
I agree. Thank you all for listening, and make sure to come back and check out what Mia and I are talking about next time.
Thank you for joining us on the Law of Attraction Manifesting Success Stories show. To learn how to attract more money into your life, go to your favorite book retailer and order Cassie's book, Manifest $10,000.